Transformations, enhancements, and power-ups are pretty much the coolest feature in media. Or at least they are to me. From the iconic and groundbreaking Super Saiyan forms, to the anarchy unleashed by Gear 5, or even something as simple as move evolution in Inazuma 11. There's just something truly special about unlocking new forms and going beyond. Maybe it's the signifying of a pivotal point in a story, maybe it's character growth, or it could be something completely different and personal to you. Take a moment and think about your favorite transformation or power-up. How does it make you feel? Two transformations from my top 10 are Super Zanark and Fubuki's personality switch to Atsuya. These two still hold up well over a decade later and provide me with such a great nostalgic feeling. I still remember the excitement and joy I experienced as a kid when I first encountered these during their respective stories. On the topic of Inazuma 11, there is a plethora of transformations, enhancements, and power-ups, such as the Alias Crystal or the Alter Ego system. But the category that stands above everything in terms of power is aura mechanics. From the ability to fuse your favorite characters, to the ability to summon gorgeous otherworldly mythical creatures and deities to aid you in combat. Aura mechanics spice up the gameplay and are one of the features that make Inazuma 11 stand apart and, in my opinion, above other football games. And these are Keshin, also known as Fighting Spirit, Keshin Armed, also known as Fighting Spirit Armed, Miximax, also known as Mixi Trans, and Totems, also known as Soul. But unfortunately, as we've gone over countless times again and again here on this channel, nothing in this series is made equal. And one of these things is not like the others. Can you guess which one? For those of you who have played the post-game of Go Galaxy, as well as competitive, you already know we're talking about totems. But what is a totem? As stated before, it's an aura mechanic introduced in Inazuma 11 Go Galaxy. A totem / soul allows the user to transform into an animal temporarily and gain an ability called a soul strike. These designs were usually simple and straightforward regular animals with a splash of color. Until you left Earth and started venturing other planets, and then shit got quite wild.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
Did I mention this is a football game? Each soul of the main cast you play as had an animal that represented something to do with their character or journey. For example, Tsurugi had a wolf to represent his lone wolf-esque personality. Tenma has a horse and Pegasus, not only because Tenma literally means Pegasus, but also to emphasize his freedom motif. And Ibuki has a mammoth as somewhat of a trophy representing his struggle and eventual attainment of being the immovable wall that the team desperately needed. And I think having a mammoth as a pick is a pretty cool choice since it's an ancient animal. It's not a current animal that exists today, and as representatives of Earth, they're not just representing what it currently stands as today, they're representing everything we as a species have collectively built up and upheld from the jump to this very second. But with that said, these are just regular animals, and for a series like Inazuma 11, that's kind of underwhelming. We went from genies, deities, and rulers of the sea to a fucking horse. And in the anime and the story, souls are shown to be stronger than Keshin's. strong enough to output enough power to eradicate a black hole. And keep this in the back of your mind, because we're gonna go over this a bit later. But let's be real, what is a lion? Actually, what is a billion lions doing against a team combo of White Wyvern, Evarth, and Zodiac? Let alone Arthur or Griffin. So why do souls even exist? For starters, I do think this series was entering a crackhead overload state. We had so much to deal with as players, and God forbid you were new to this series. We had skills, stats, special moves, evolution, fucking Miximax, Keshin arm, Keshin evolution, Keshin skills, best Miximasters, fucking Keshin stats. And that's not even everything. And not everyone is trying to learn and go through all of that, because that shit can be pretty overwhelming. So having something as simple as a soul was probably necessary for a lot of casual players who don't have a hyper-autistic obsession with stats, mechanics, and calculations like I do. But from a story point of view, why did it exist? I think this is because they needed something to validate these completely new players who've, bear in mind, have never even played the sport before, being more viable picks than fucking Bailong and Senguji. Usually mechanics like these in this series tend to have a deeper meaning. For example, Keshin/fighting spirits was standing against oppression and fighting for what you believe is right. That does not apply to these new players, so there's no reason for them to have one. They have no reason to give a damn about that shit. However, each player undergoes an internal transformation, each with a different backstory, personal journey, and meaning. And while doing that, they also go from being absolutely useless to having actual football skill and serving a purpose on the field. And I believe the external transformation of a soul is a visual representation and celebration of the player's successful internal transformation. I don't know what the fuck arms represents. The title of this video definitely leans a bit more towards the games, and now that we've gone over design and purpose, you're probably wondering what souls actually do within a match in the game. They don't really do much. A soul is basically the opposite of a fighting spirit when it comes to the games. A fighting spirit starts off strong and loses power the more you use it. It denies you from using your regular special moves and provides you with a super souped up, unique one to it. Souls give you a strong, unique move named a totem strike. They get stronger over time instead of weaker. It still allows you to use your normal special moves and does still give you a slight buff across the board. But that's not all. This is where shit starts to go downhill. There is a skill roulette once you try to use your totem strike. On the roulette are a series of buffs, ranging from completely useless to actually not that bad. But none of that matters, since sometimes you can just miss on the roulette and get absolutely nothing. And it does not stop there either, because totem strikes low-key suck. A totem strike is supposed to be a strong aura mechanic move, similar to a fighting spirit Hisatsu. But the difference is you can make a normal special move have a higher damage output than your totem strike. So why even bother using it? It's like if Luffy went gear 5th and used one of his strongest attacks and it did less damage than him just slap boxing in his base form. That's fundamentally fucked, right? It's basically just a glorified Persona at this point, and it somehow still gets worse. Miximax benefits from almost every possible skill in the game and allows you to break the rules of the game and have a maximum of 4 skills on a player instead of 2, as well as providing a ridiculous stat boost in Go 2 Chronostones and a very respectable one in Go Galaxy. Keshin have specialized skills to make them so diabolically unmanageable, as well as benefiting from other normal skills your player has. And on top of that, each fighting spirit has a built-in passive skill that remains active for as long as they remain on the field. And these weren't just personal buffs, these could be global and affect the entire team. And what do souls have to make them a force to be reckoned with? Basically nothing. Remember how before I said that they had enough power to eradicate a black hole? Let's look into that a bit. A totem strike is 300 base power. That sounds really good, right? Until you realize that this only applies to shoot type souls and the 2 Pegasus forms. Everything else is 250 base power, which still doesn't seem that bad, right? Until you realize that you can make a normal power type special move cap out at 320. And as well as that, totem strikes don't have special properties like in the anime. There are no shot blocking totems, there are no chain totems, there are no stun based totems. Well, I guess you can land a stun type buff on the roulette, but there's no stun type totem moves themselves. Using a regular special move with a special property and maxing it out allows you to match the power or surpass the power of a totem strike and provide yourself with some very useful utility too. And a lot of the special moves just look better than a lot of the totem moves, but I guess that is personal preference, I guess. Now would you believe me if I told you it somehow still gets even worse? In Go Galaxy, Miximax is permanent. However, in Go 2 Chronostones, it faded away once you ran out of stamina. With Fighting Spirits, once you run out of gauge, it fades away. However, with Souls, since they get stronger over time instead of weaker, if you need to summon another aura and you're already at max, you can't just wait for it to dismiss and then summon, like with Fighting Spirits. You'll need to actually waste an aura command dismissing it, and that puts it on a cooldown. It's inconvenient as hell. Now, what actual benefits with zero drawback do Souls provide? You don't need to grind to level up Souls like how you do it with Fighting Spirits. It stacks with Miximax. They're way more simple to understand for newer players and for more casual players, and some of the moves do look pretty cool. But I'm not gonna lie, I don't think this list of pros even comes close to the weight of the cons. Within the previous games, aura mechanics were insane. I genuinely don't know what the developers were thinking, and they clearly realized their mistake, because from Go 2 to Go 3, a lot of changes were made to try and balance the aura mechanics, such as making Keshin armed Hisatsus cost gauge, nerfing the boost you got to your stats from Miximax, and swapping around Keshin passives. I think in an attempt to not repeat their past mistakes and have Souls absolutely donkey fuck the entire game, they tried way too hard to make it a balanced mechanic and it just failed to keep up because of it. Now it has been 11 plus years, but where the fuck did that mentality go? Because what genius pitched pre-patch Breach? And not only that, who thought that was even remotely okay to put in the game? That shit somehow passed the testing phase. But yeah, back to Souls. It just kind of sucked as a mechanic because it was too balanced compared to the alternatives you had, and small numbers are boring to a lot of people. It's why so many people main Greatsword in Monster Hunter, and why Triple Spirit big moves makes people want. But at the end of the day, Souls don't make the series any less fun, do they? So does all of this really matter? Thanks for watching.